Hi guys, I'm Tanner from Premier Arts, bringing you once again another Scenic Artist tutorial, and today we're going to be doing something really fun and different. So a lot of times in my job, I have to paint something that's fresh and new. Maybe it was built with brand new wood, and I have to make it look really old and dilapidated. And one of my all-time favorite methods of doing so is to paint some plaster and lath that is broken through the wall. So if you're not sure what plaster and lath is, you might look at the walls around you in your house, and a lot of it's been built with drywall. That's more of a newer technique. It's what the walls are made of, and it helps insulate. Back before they had drywall, what they would do is take thin layers of slats or lath, and they're just little pieces of wood, and they would build them up on a wall real close together and then spread plaster around them, and the plaster would grip to the wall in between the pieces of wood, and then they'd smooth it out and you could paint it or you could put wallpaper on it, and that's what the walls were made of. But the thing with plaster and lath is sometimes the plaster would chip away and you could see the lath or the wood pieces behind it. And as an artist, that offers a really exciting and fun opportunity to instantly make a set piece look from brand new to old and timely. So what you're going to need for today's demonstration is a piece of paper or a piece of canvas or a piece of cardstock, and that's what I've used. You're going to need to choose what color you want your base wall to be. So for mine, I've chose the color blue. I want my wall to be blue, and that's going to be the wall after it's been painted or maybe after it's had wallpaper on it. So I've gone ahead and I've base coated my canvas or my piece of paper already. So you're first going to need to pick a color and paint it down on your piece. Then what we're going to do is we're going to create that look where it's like the plaster has broken away and you can see the pieces of wood behind it. So I'm going to use a kind of a tan color, a light brown, and that's going to represent the actual pieces of wood. So without having to paint each piece, I'm just gonna slap some color down, and we're gonna say this is where the plaster is broken away. So while you're painting, you might find that depending on the kind of paint you're using and the colors, you might need to do a couple coats of this over your original base coat, and that's fine. But what you want is you kind of want a strong edge to wherever you are placing your top tan color or your light brown color. Notice how I am giving myself some fun stuff that will come in handy later. I'm trying not to let it be too feathery on the edges, because that's going to be the hard edge where our plaster has broken. So I'm giving myself some fun stuff that's going to be easy to highlight later on. Alright, so by the time you're done and it's dry, you should have a pretty good splotch of tan or brown in the middle of your base colored paint. And you do want a lighter brown, because what we're going to do next is take a darker color and we're going to create those slats or those pieces of lath. So you're going to need a ruler and a pencil. And you can just use the space of a ruler, or you can make them any space that you want, but lath is generally about the width of a ruler. And I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to put my ruler down and I'm going to draw some lines. So there we go. We've got some lines drawn across the pieces of wood. And so then you're going to choose a darker color, and I've got kind of a darker brown prepared. And then you're just going to fill in every other gap. And you're going to go right up to the base color so that it ends where your tan or lighter brown was. So then when you're finished, you should have kind of a striped look to it. And if you want to go even darker, you could use black, or you could mix some colors. It's whatever you want. You are the artist, you are in control. But as you can see, the lighter colors are what would be the physical pieces of wood or lath, and the darker pieces would be the space between them, or the shadow. Next, what we're going to do, once that is dry, is we're going to highlight some of these things so it really makes it pop. And we can do that with a marker, or if you have black paint and a tiny brush, you can do that. But I sometimes really find a large Sharpie or a large marker with a nice tip can give me exactly what I'm looking for. So then with our marker, we're going to choose which is going to be our undershadow. And so find whatever orientation you want yours to be. And then anything that would have a shadow underneath it, that's what you're gonna mark with your marker or your thin black paint. So I'm gonna turn it so it's a little easier for me to do this. And I'm just gonna go along the edge of each piece of wood, each piece of lath. And then I'm also going to do where there would be a shadow in the plaster, because there would be the layer of wood and then the layer of plaster on top of it. So any underside would have a shadow, and here's where you can make the break in the plaster really clear. And if you have any fuzzy bits, that's okay. You can use the time now to mark exactly where your plaster would go. And already you can tell some of that plaster looks like it's jumping right off the page. And in my line of work, my audience doesn't see it up close, they see it from far away. So oftentimes I have to make things even bigger than they might appear up close or in person. So there we have our shadows in place, really easy with a marker. And so then if we have shadow, we need some highlight. So I'm just gonna use white. You could mix your colors and really get a true highlight tan, or maybe even a highlight of the blue, a lighter blue. But I'm just going to use white and kind of mix on the go and see what happens. But just like we used the underside to mark the shadow, anywhere where the light would come, maybe from above or from the side, that's what you're gonna highlight with your lighter color or your white. And just like that, it almost looks like you've got some pieces of wood jumping out of the wall, or they're breaking away into your painting. And you can get really creative from here. You can give your wood some grain. You could even add some water damage into the wall. Maybe some water leaked from behind the wall and added some discoloration. You can add more shadow on the edges. So I'm just going to kind of go a little crazy and we'll see what it ends up with. And there you go. I had some fun. I added some things wherever I felt like, and at the end of the day, we have some wood laths popping through a hole in the wall. This just goes to show that no matter what you have in your mind, just let it out onto your canvas or your piece. You never know what you're going to end up with until you try. So I am really excited to see your plaster and laths. Make sure that you take a picture or maybe even take a video or a time lapse, kind of like I've been doing with your painting, and share it with us at Premier Arts. I am really excited to see what you come up with, and we will see you real soon. Bye guys.